Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast episode. My name is Leisha Gogan, the host of the Glow Up Secrets podcast, where I help you expand your mind and become more self-aware so that you can glow up into the best version of yourself. Happy Sunday if you're listening to this on a Sunday. I hope everyone is doing well. If you're listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple or just the audio version, then you will probably have seen the new rebrand. And if you're watching on YouTube, I am showing the new podcast art on the screen right now. I love it. We got a new rebrand, a new vibe. Did we love the pink? Did we love the natural hair? Did we love the young feminine vibes of the podcast art? Yes, we did. And that served us, but we are entering a new chapter. And I feel like the new podcast art gives very mature. I'm grown up a little bit. Like I'm literally 30. I started this podcast. I think I started it when I was 27, or maybe I was on the cusp of being 26. I don't know. It's been a while. And a lot of you guys have been here since the very beginning, which is crazy to me. So I just want to say thank you so much. And if you're new here, welcome. So today I want to talk as I always do. This is why we have the podcast, because I want to chat. So I have been really trying to get my spark back for life. I feel like I've lost it a little bit. And for me personally, it's been the chaos of life. It's been moving. It's been transitioning into different chapters of my life, turning 30 in this relationship where we have taken the next step together. There's so many things in my life where it's just calling me to be pushed out of my comfort zone. And I'm somebody who's very much so, I have to grow, I have to learn things. So let's do it. And that has created a lot of instability almost in my life. Even though a lot of these things have been happening in my life are good things, there's just been a lot going on. And I find when a lot of things go on, sometimes I'll get very stressed, I'll get a little anxious, and also my routines kind of go to the wayside a bit, and I feel a little bit dysregulated. And anytime I'm in that phase of my life, I do feel this lackluster feeling for life. Like I don't really have a spark. I'm not really that positive. I feel a little low. And I just want to talk about some of the things that have been helping me and some of the things I've been exploring in my own life that has helped me feel that spark back in my life again. And along with continuously supporting this good feeling about life. And so hopefully some of the things that I talk about in today's episode could help you if you're feeling a little lackluster, if you're looking for something to, make you feel good again. Hopefully this will help. So I always find when I am not feeling a spark for life, I'm not feeling very positive, I'm feeling pretty low. That is definitely because I am typically out of routine and out of the things that make me feel good. And sometimes there's not a lot of things that can make you feel good in life, just depending on what you're going through. But something that always makes me feel a little bit better is creating space for myself and my thoughts and for me to just exist. And that looks like creating space in the mornings to have a more slower morning routine where I'm actually journaling and sometimes even going on Pinterest. I've recently been on Substack, which I can talk about as well, but really just creating space in my mornings to feel a sense of stability instead of chaos. And I find writing, journaling can help me get out of a lot of chaotic thoughts and maybe even negativity onto paper and to start to cultivate a better mindset. And this might not be the thing that makes you feel the best in your life, but I do find that how you're going to first be able to figure out what are the things that make you feel alive again and go out and live your life and feel happy again is first by setting a foundation and kind of like clearing that path and clearing that road for yourself, which looks like, okay, let's stop engaging in the things that no longer serve me and start re-engaging in the things that I know will create a sense of peace and harmony for myself. And I think for everyone, it looks like something to do with stillness and bringing your attention and your focus back to yourself and your own life versus your energy or attention on things that might be dysregulating you. And for instance, me moving and doing a million things the past 2 months and feeling out of routine, I feel like my energy was very scattered and very not with myself. And when you're not with yourself, it does make sense why sometimes you would feel pretty low. Another thing that I realized that I was doing a lot was kind of like passively consuming a lot of things, again, outside of my life. So if I was going on social media, I would just be scrolling. I would just be, kind of watching what other people are doing. I felt like there was this never ending flow of information and things to do and people to watch and even things to create that it really made me feel unmotivated for life and very overwhelmed. I think when we have so much choice, it's almost detrimental because then we almost feel like we can't choose, we can't stay focused on anything. And when we're in that state of chaos, it's no wonder that we don't feel good. It's no wonder that we don't feel this like spark of life or creativity in life. And I want to read a little bit of this Substack that I found, and it really just hit me, okay? And I think it's going to hit you guys too. So the title of the Substack is The Hunger to Be Everything. By the way, this one is free. I am not like subscribing to somebody and paying for their monthly membership and like reading something that's under a paywall. So it starts off like this. How lost are we in the virtuality of life? They told us we are lucky to live in an era of endless doors, of infinite selves waiting to be summoned with a scroll, a post, or a step-by-step transformation. But no one warned us of the disease it carries, of how too much possibility can fray the edges of a person. Our skin aches for mornings that begin with the light of dawn and not that of a screen. Before our feet touch the earth, our eyes have already wandered into someone else's world. We didn't notice when we stopped living and began watching others. We've become spectators of everyone and participants in nothing of our own. That really hit me because it is true that we step into so many other people's worlds before we even step into our own. And I think that can be a part of why sometimes we feel very lackluster, like no spark of life, like we are down in the dumps because maybe we're feeling a lot of comparison. Maybe we're feeling like we're not doing enough, not being enough. There is so much that we're constantly looking outside of ourselves with. And I do feel like that was a big contributor as to why I was feeling the way that I was feeling, on top of all the chaos in my actual life that was going on. And I have become a graveyard of personas, restless in the presence of simple pleasures, always terrified of settling. I used to think I was failing because I hadn't arrived anywhere, but I've simply been lost in the contradiction of many different maps, wandering too many paths. I carry cities I'll never walk and careers that died before a resume held their name. I mourn strangers I nearly loved, left behind in unread messages. Because what if there's someone else, gentler, funnier, easier, more aligned with me, just one scroll further? I am 1,000 almost held together by hesitation, a gallery of repainted selves. And I'm so exhausted by this constant orbit around potential, this slow bleeding of meaning, a daily flirtation with who I am not, what I don't have, and what I haven't done. Somewhere along the way, I stopped asking what I wanted and started asking what would look impressive. And what society worships shifts so quickly, that mentality becomes unstable when worth is measured by trends. Now I'm skipping a few more paragraphs, but they go on to say, but I have lost myself in a million other people. I'm no longer fluent in my own language. I've consumed so many dreams that weren't mine. I don't recognize the hunger of my own longing. This isn't freedom, it's erosion. This is the slow disintegration of self beneath the illusion that we can be anything, everything, all at once. What if I told you this hunger to endure everything, this ceaseless reaching, this need to feel something more is not curiosity, but self-exile? Somewhere along the way, you began to believe that living meant becoming exceptional, being seen, being chosen, that it meant consuming everything that the world offers. But you were only ever meant to come home to yourself, to your own food, to your own bed. And the truth is, nothing you're chasing will hold you. Not the success, not the admiration, not even the healing. Because the moment you are finally still, you will hear it. Your own precious life sobbing in the corner, pleading, I've been waiting for you to stop trying to be extraordinary, to stop trying to be them, all so that I can love you as you are. And the last thing I'm going to read from this, it says, the world tells you that you can be anything, so you forget how to be yourself. It shows you everything you can become, so you abandon what you already are. It offers you a million lives, you choose none, and lose the one that was already yours. Now, this fits in perfectly to what I'm experiencing in my life, because I feel like the moment I stop dipping my toes in everyone else's reality, thinking that I need to be more or do more or what thing is next to do, I instantly feel so much better in my life. And the reason why I mentioned having slow mornings, writing, taking time to come back to myself is exactly the opposite of what you would be doing when you're stepping into other people's worlds. I am no longer stepping into other people's worlds and I'm stepping into my own world. Now, the second part of this I feel can be difficult for some people and even myself because this involves enjoying your life and having fun in your life. And if you don't know how to enjoy your life, if you don't know what you really want to spend your time doing, if there's no room for play or creativity, it's almost no wonder that you would always be stepping into other people's worlds or watching what everyone else is doing and not making any sort of decision, and or just being super addicted to chaos and negativity because maybe that's all you've ever been living by. And I've been talking about this in quite a few of my past episodes, this idea of stepping into a chapter of my life where I am allowing myself to be more happy. And allowing yourself to be happy is definitely a practice for those who have constantly been living in stress, been living in fight or flight, been even living passively, looking into other people's lives. But one thing I think can help is to start exploring more of your creative side of your life. And so that's what I've really been doing. I've been trying to explore what it even means to be a creative individual, an artist, somebody who is happy in their life and joyful. And of course, there's a lot of things that can make you feel happy, right? And we always talk about, your mindset, your beliefs, your affirmation. But I think diving more deep into who would I be if I was no longer the person that was constantly stressing and worrying about things and also looking at what everyone else is doing. And the only way that you're going to be able to know that is if you create space for your inner artist to even come out. One way I've been doing this is just allowing myself to go in the direction of what feels good more in my life. That looks like living in actual flow with nature and even my body's rhythms. I talked about this in last week's episode on changing with the season of life. It's winter right now, but also moving with my cycle. I'm actually on my period right now, so slowing things down this week has been very huge for me. And instead of trying to pre-plan absolutely everything in my life, looking at my week and being like, I need to do this thing on this day and this thing on this day and this thing on this day, kind of giving myself more option and saying, okay, these are the things that I do want to accomplish and these are the things that I even sometimes need to get done, but creating way more flexibility in my days and my weeks than I have been before because I can, and I honestly have free will anyway, so I might as well just make my life easier that way. Now, another thing that I've really been doing is actually trying to learn more about creativity and being an artist, being a writer, being somebody who steps more into that identity, I guess. And I've been reading the book, The Artist's Way. I've had this on my reading list for so long, but I finally got it and it's been super impactful in my life already. I'm only just a few chapters in, but the two practices that they instantly tell you to do in that book is one, to do morning pages, which honestly I didn't even realize I've been doing morning pages for like damn near 10 years. That's what I do when I'm journaling. Essentially, it's writing 3 pages every single day and just letting whatever comes out come out. And this can help you really exercise the muscle of you being a writer if you are actually somebody who is a writer, but you don't have to be a writer and you don't have to want to be a writer to do their journal pages. This is something that allows you to really allow your inner artist, your inner creativity, your thoughts, your feelings, anything come out on the pages. And it's actually insane what you come up with, the insights that you have, but also the ability to be somebody who is that creative person, how that can come out when you are taking time in the morning to slow down and be with yourself and be with your thoughts. It's crazy. We're always looking outside of ourselves for the answer, the next step, the next thing, the inspiration, the motivation. But when I spend time in the mornings with myself writing and even sometimes reading, right? Like reading the things that I want to be reading, or even like going on Substack or going on Pinterest versus, consuming people's like day-to-day lives on social media. It's crazy the guidance and the way that I move through life in that day, but also where I go in my life in general when I do those things versus when I don't. And the best projects and the motivation for life is so high when I slow things down like this and I come home to myself that it's crazy to me that I don't do anything but live my life like this. So I would highly suggest doing something like morning pages. I would highly suggest getting the book, which I can link down below, but I do think creating some time in your morning, especially during the winter, is the perfect time to do this, to be with your thoughts, to let them out, to allow yourself to think for yourself, and also follow more what feels good, but also allow certain practices in your life not have to tie to anything. Like, you don't need to do morning pages or journal or even have a creative date, which is something that they talk about in this book, be tied to any outcome or anything that you have to do or produce in your life. Also, I found another quote. This is from Substack, but honestly, I've seen this on Pinterest as well. So, who knows where this is actually originated from, but it says the final stage of the healing journey is becoming an artist. And that really resonates with me because I feel like I'm trying my best to exit this identity of constantly being on this healing journey and trauma healing and being somebody who is anxiously attached and negative beliefs and all these things that definitely serve their purpose. But at some point we have to exit these identities in order for us to actually be the version of ourselves that we want to be. And I do think the more times that you move away from the fight or flight, the overthinking, the constantly living in this nervous system dysregulation, what you will come to find is this inner artist, this creativity, this part of you that's probably young that wants to just play and wants to not have everything be tied to this outcome and this constant productivity and this constant, what do I need to do today and how do I be optimized and do things better and do things more. And it's a beautiful place to be. It's a very healing place to be. And it's crazy because what ends up coming out of that is the thing that you're probably looking for anyways. So I think if you are trying to have any sort of spark back in your life, you want to feel better, you want to feel more positive, you want to feel like you are looking forward to your days, you need to come home to yourself. You need to create that space for you to even feel anything better than what you've been feeling before. And that looks like morning pages. That looks like spending time with your thoughts. That looks like not constantly telling yourself you have to do and be more. That looks like no longer constantly spending so much time in other people's worlds, whether that's online or even offline. Now, I want to talk about a few more things that have been actually making me feel much better in my life that have definitely brought back that juice for life. Okay, I actually am excited to get up again and live my life. The first thing is listening to this podcast that I'm obsessed with right now, and it's called Wild Geese Podcast by Anna Howard. She's amazing. And she talks a lot about the creative process. She talks a lot about creativity and art. And she's a deep thinker. She's also a Scorpio, which I'm so not surprised that she's a Scorpio. So that's a great podcast recommendation from me to you guys if you're interested. Now, I've already mentioned the morning pages and reading The Artist's Way. I'm just really going in the direction of reading and doing the things that I'm actually interested in and not doing things that I feel like I have to do so much. I almost feel like I'm rebelling against anything that feels like this have to do energy. And one of the other things that The Artist's Way tells you right from the beginning that we're going to be practicing is having creative dates. I think that's what it's called, creative dates or artist dates. And that really is taking at least 1 or 2 hours out of your week, at least once a week, to do something that you want to do, that is allowing you to exercise that part of you that is creative. And you might not know what that is. It might honestly start by, I feel like going on a nature walk today, or I feel like painting a sunflower and listening to some music today and not recording it, or not feeling like I need to show anyone, or I feel like writing today. I feel like picking up a blog that I used to be super interested in. I feel like starting a Tumblr page, a Substack. I feel like cooking. Some of these things might be very limited, especially when we come from this constant to-do energy, fight or flight, not really living in a creative world or allowing ourselves to experience joy or happiness on a day-to-day basis. It can be very limited, and it's the only things that I know when it comes to being creative would be drawing a picture or like painting a picture or something like that. But I do think the more times that you cultivate space for you to think outside the box, those things will start coming up. So that's definitely something that I'm going to be practicing in this season of my life, is doing those artist dates. I think that's what it's called, artist dates. And I think the first thing that I am actually going to be doing is painting a sunflower. And maybe I'll talk about the significance of sunflowers in my grief episode, because it is linked to my mother, but it's just something that naturally is like the first thing that I think about when I'm thinking about being creative again, is doing that alongside journaling. Journaling for me is like super big, and I do like to write. Like I like to journal like my thoughts out as if it's just this like brain dump, this emotional release, but also I do like to write in the form of like, this could potentially be a book type of writing. I've also already mentioned this, but that is leaning more into the flow of life versus trying to pre-plan everything. I catch myself doing that, especially around my luteal phase, feeling like, oh, okay, like I need to sit down, I need to like look at my calendar, and I have all these things to do. And then I go throughout my week and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this here and this here and this here. And I can feel the stress like bubble up. I literally felt the stress bubble up and the irritation bubble up on Sunday when I was doing this. And you know, sometimes it takes a little bit for me to like then crash and burn. And then I'm like, girl, you don't have to be doing all this, but that's what I did. I like kind of crashed and burned for a second and, you know, crashed out. And I was like, I actually don't need to do any of these things when I'm telling myself to do all these things. Like, why am I doing it like that? And again, it's not that I didn't need to get certain things done. For instance, I needed to update my driver's license and I needed to take a photo of it. And I was like trying to like fit it in on a certain day. And then my boyfriend was like, well, if you drive me to this place, then you can have my car to go get all these things done. But in my head, Monday morning, my morning routine, I didn't plan it to be like that. And I was getting frustrated with the fact that that was like affecting my pre-planned morning routine. And I was going back and forth with him about, oh, like, I don't know if I want to do it. And he was kind of like, why wouldn't you take my car? Because then you can have it all week. Because once I drive him to where he needs to go, like he has a work truck that he uses. So anyways, I was getting all in my head. And then I was like, you know what? Release this. This energy is not something that serves you. It's stressing you out. It's literally making you dread Monday for no apparent reason. And I'm smart enough to know that going with the flow tends to work out better than me trying to be very, very rigid in my life. And so the next day I woke up and I said, you know what? I'm just going to go with what life is presenting for me to do right now. And that is go take his car. So we got some coffee. I drove him to the place that he needed to go. I ended up realizing that there was a farm boy and there was also this post office that I needed to go drop something off when it came to my passport stuff that I could get done, which in my head, in my plan, I wrote that I needed to do it on like a different day, which made me feel like the whole day was like blocked out for that thing, which it didn't even need to be. But anyways, I got that off my list. I ended up going to this farm boy that was in a different side of town, which was like super nice. And I needed to go anyways. And I'm like driving home and I'm feeling so good because I did that. And I was like, oh, I think Mondays are going to be the days where I do the groceries, because Monday's a great day to go grocery shopping if you can, because ain't nobody really there on a Monday. And I felt so good. And I got back home around like 10 o'clock and I'm like, you know what? Since I'm out and I'm in the flow of things, let me just quickly do my hair. Let me go get my photos taken, because I had to get my photos retaken for my license and my health card. And by the time I did everything, I was done by like 12 o'clock. And I had done so many things that were all like spread out on my calendar for that week. And I was like, isn't it crazy what happens when you just go with the flow, Alicia? Things take way less time than they do. Sometimes life is life and you're just going to have to, you know, go with the flow. And sometimes it's better that way, that you do it anyways. And so I started off my week in that energy, and then I ended up getting my period the next day, which I was so happy that I did all those things the day before, because then I didn't have to do all of these things on my period. And you know what I got to do in the morning? I had my slow morning. I read my book. I felt very aligned. I felt good. I felt this energy of release because I was already practicing releasing this to-do energy that I really didn't need to have on myself. I did my morning pages, which I had already started being very consistent with my journaling again before I read this book, but it just felt so good because I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I want to be doing. So anyways, I say all that to just say, check yourself when you are pre-planning, when you are creating this unnecessary stress over your life. And I understand that you have to get things done. I understand you have to plan things. I understand things got to get done, but I do understand that we make things way bigger than they need to be. we also are convinced that they take way longer than they need to, and it's not for our greater good. So that's something that I've been working on. Another thing is I did start a Substack. I genuinely believe that Substack is hitting the sweet spot for me right now. It is, in my opinion, like my modern day Tumblr. It is giving like Twitter without the like social media aspect of it, where it's like, the politics of Twitter, and sometimes Twitter is like a lot. Like, I don't even have Twitter. I used to be into Twitter a long time ago, and it kind of reminds me of this different world, the way that I felt when I used to be obsessed with Tumblr. So you guys can follow me on Substack if you have it. I feel like it's just something that interests me, and I don't know where that's going to go or what that will result in. And that's something I'm trying to practice, is not needing to know the answer to things, or like why I'm doing certain things, or like how is this going to benefit my life, or like what does this mean for my work, or what does this mean for my ideas with projects, like anything like that. Like, I'm really trying to practice the art of not needing to know the outcome of things, because I think that takes away the creativity, the fun, the play of whatever it is that you are falling down a rabbit hole in. And I love rabbit holes. I love being so interested in something and so obsessed with something and just spending like a week diving into that thing. But then I feel like sometimes I'll do this thing where I need to then know what this thing means as it pertains to my life. How is this going to benefit me in some way? Or how do I use this knowledge and apply it to the things that I'm doing in my life, which is a great thing to even want. But sometimes I'll go into this to-do energy, like this thing needs to do something for me, or I need to do something more than me just existing and me just being very interested in a topic and allowing that to go nowhere if that's where it wants to go. Now, the last two things that have been making me feel good again is eating well and moving my body. Now, I have been out of routine for a very long time, so I feel like it's been so long since I've been cooking myself meals and even moving my body in the way of like actual fitness. And when it comes to eating well, I've just been taking my time with things. I haven't been putting too much pressure on myself to meal prep a lot of things, but I've just been allowing myself baby steps to make my overnight oats, make sure to grab some avocados, make sure to take time to be going to the grocery store again and playing around with some recipes and taking time out of my day to actually cook. And even when it comes to moving my body, my ideal version of myself is to be doing weightlifting again, and I will. But the early stages of me being in a new routine in my new place right now, and also starting my period, it's been a little tricky to go full on. And I'm somebody who understands that there's going to be times in life where you're not going to be full on. So I actually decided to book a Pilates class. I haven't been to a Pilates class in so long. I use ClassPass, which I always have free credits down below in my description. I think it's a great way to be able to go to Pilates studios because those things can be expensive, okay, girl? But anyway, I decided to go. Well, actually, side note, I had booked a class. I don't remember when. I think it was like a Friday or something. And that day came around and I completely forgot to cancel the class because I didn't know how I was going to feel. So I booked it and I was like, okay, if I don't feel like up for it, then I will just cancel it. And I had forgotten to cancel it. And I was kind of pissed because I'm like, damn, like I don't really want to go. Oh, it was on the weekend. I think it was like a Saturday or something. And I'm like, I don't want to go. But I realized it was like 7:30 and the class was at 9 o'clock and it was only a 45-minute class and it's right down the road from my place. So I was like, you know what, girl, you need to go. This is ridiculous, but you're not going to go. You're going to pay a cancellation fee and you can go to this Pilates class, girl. Like, this is the way that you're going to get in, is by pushing yourself that time that you feel really uncomfortable when you're starting something new for the first time, or like restarting again, especially when it comes to the gym. So you just got to like push through that. I went, and of course you never regret a workout, but that made me feel a little bit better about life. I felt my spark coming back to life. I think doing something like a class can be very helpful if you're trying to get into a fitness routine. And even if you can't do classes, I think just changing up your workout, whether it's in the gym or even doing an at-home workout and you're following somebody along, can really help you spark this new energy. And I think that that's what we're really looking for when we're saying, okay, I have lost my spark in life. How do I get it back? You have to do something new. That is what the essence of a spark is that new creative energy, is that happiness, is that flow state again. And usually when you've lost your spark, you are feeling low, you are feeling negative, you are feeling a little lackluster. So you got to go engage in life again. You got to do the things that make you feel good. If that means what makes you feel good is changing up your morning routine and going for a walk and getting your favorite coffee and doing a little journal practice at the coffee shop, or listening to a podcast, a new one that you haven't listened to in a very long time, or a new song, or you're going to go dance in the middle of the day and you're going to take a quick 10-minute break from doing work, whatever that is, go do it. The only person that's telling you not to do that is yourself. You have free will. I promise you, you have more free will than you think. You can go do that. And that little spark of energy change in your life will do you wonders. It will open doors. It will make you feel a little bit better about life. And then that's the momentum that you are going to start creating in your life that will bring you into a higher state. It will make you see things in a new way. It will help you with creativity. It will help you with motivation for life. It will do so much for you. So yeah, that's really what I've been focusing on in my life right now, is slowing things down and coming home to myself. And that's going to be the premise of my journal series that is coming out very soon. It will be coming out in December. I'm putting the finishing touches on things, but essentially this journal series is all about teaching you how to come back to yourself when you're feeling dysregulated, when you're feeling lost, when you're feeling emotional, when you're feeling like your thoughts aren't really the best. I've created this series for those who need a little bit more guidance when it comes to those areas of life. And that is a great starting point to feeling better about life. It is no longer looking outside of yourself. It is no longer waiting passively. It is no longer stripping joy from your life and needing to know answers constantly and not allowing yourself to follow what feels good. It is so good to start following what feels good. But in order to follow what feels good, you need to slow down and you need to allow yourself to explore what even feels good. What feels good to me in the sense of what is sparking my curiosity? What feels good to me today in the sense of my energy levels and what I can show up for today and how I'm going to show up for that? What feels good to me in the sense of movement and routine and the way that I'm eating? And that changes on a day-to-day basis. That changes on a month-to-month. That changes if you're in your luteal phase, if you're in your period, things like that. And I think living more like that and less like we are constantly running away from tigers every day is the key to feeling better about our lives. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys like the new rebrand for the podcast. Follow me on Substack. I don't know what I'm doing there, but I love it. Don't forget to sign up to my newsletter because you will be getting all the information about my new journal series that will be coming very soon. I can't believe we're already in December, guys. We have like a few more episodes before the new year. I do want to talk about the mind-body connection and the healing journey, probably in next week's episode, because I actually had to do a follow-up colonoscopy, which is like TMI, but not really. It's not. I have IBD and I was in a much different place this time last year. I was very, very sick and unwell, and I got like a follow-up. Well, I needed to do a follow-up with that, and things came back really well. Like obviously, like I'm doing a lot better, but it really sparked a lot of insight and things that I thought about that I want to bring to you guys, and some notes that I actually have had for a very long time when it comes to anyone who might be going through chronic illness or feeling like you're just like in a healing phase and you're going through it. And then the next episode will be my grief episode, because that will be essentially a tribute to my mom's passing. She passed away this time last year, December 18th. So that will be that Sunday's episode. And then I think we have like one or two more before the new year, which is just crazy. I just can't even believe it. We are just on this journey and we're just going. We're going. So yeah, that's what's to come. Also, let me know in the comments though, of course, what you're interested in, what you want me to talk about more. There's a lot of things that I'm sure that I will be exploring in this next year to come that I will always be sharing with you guys. So yeah, I'm excited and I hope you guys are too. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.